The content of this episode involves a child who experienced sexual assault and was murdered. Please listen to this episode with caution. In the heart of Orlando, Florida, on February 26, 2024, a routine Monday morning quickly turned into every parent's worst nightmare. Madeline Soto, a teenage girl who just celebrated her 13th birthday, seemingly vanished without a trace, and it seemed to happen on her way to school sometime in the morning. The last known person to see her was her mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, who said he dropped her off near the school, being that she wanted to walk the rest of the way. Her mother, Jennifer Soto, first noticed that she was missing when she went to pick her up after 4 p.m. that day, once school let out, even being the first car to arrive at the school to wait in the student pickup line. She got there an hour early, waiting, and then watching the kids come out of the school, getting into their parents' cars, and then driving away. But her daughter Madeline never walked out of the school. It was so confusing at the time, and Jenn, she drove away to look for her, hoping to see her walking. Maybe she missed her coming out of the school. She called a friend of Madeline's, and it was alarming to hear that she wasn't in school all day. This was strange because she clearly was dropped off by Stephan, Jenn's on and off again boyfriend. She emailed teachers and they said the same thing. She wasn't in school. To get clear confirmation, she called the school and had them check attendance, and she was noted as absent. So where was she? Something had to have happened to Madeline during the morning when she was on her way to school. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Ricky.
And this is Crime Salad. Jenn called 911 to report her daughter missing sometime shortly after 4:30, stating that she had been missing since 8 o'clock that morning. And they waited 3 long hours for the police to arrive. Watching the clock tick by, her family became increasingly worried for Madeline. While waiting those 3 hours, Madeline's mom called 911 twice and another called once, questioning why it was taking so long and stating that this is a missing child and an emergency. Unfortunately, the deputies who were to report to the call were busy with other calls in the area, but would be on their way as soon as possible. The sheriff's department later responded to this, stating that there was at least 500 911 calls that came in on the day that Madeline was reported missing. The call was classified as a priority 2. A priority 3 call is activated when a child is missing 10 years or younger, or if they have medical issues that would classify them as endangered or missing.
So Madeline was 13?
Yeah. And there wasn't any medical conditions reported by the caller, so this call was classified as priority 2. Now, once the deputies started their search, they learned that Madeline didn't have her phone on her. It was left at home before she left school. And even the tracking dogs weren't able to pick up her scent where she was last known to be dropped off. Now, as the hours stretched into days, the search intensified, with everyone asking the same question: where is she? And what really happened to Madeline Soto? A few things that the police were made aware of was that the boyfriend, Stephan, the last known person to be with Madeline, was quiet when the police first arrived. Jenn did most of the talking, and he seemed distracted by other things in the room instead of Madeline's well-being. Jenn appeared frightened and shook up. Her behavior was caught on police body cam footage and was seen swaying or rocking from side to side while she talked to the police, clearly stressed out. Or maybe nervous about having an interaction with the police.
Or guilt.
Yeah, or that. Now, according to behavior experts, rocking from side to side can signify emotional or psychological discomfort, whether the rocking indicates nervousness, guilt, anxiety, defensiveness, or psychological distress. It reflects an underlying state of unease or imbalance that the person is experiencing during that interaction. And a lot of people who review this footage see that she clearly rehearsed what she tells police. The mom's boyfriend stood next to her, and his behavior was a bit different, keeping his head down, and he seemed a little distracted almost in the room as he picked things up around him and he talked on his phone. He speaks to the officers a few separate times during the search, and the investigators get his side of the story of being the one who took Madeline to school. After all, he was the last person to have seen Madeline before she disappeared, throwing in there that he's not a morning person. When they look into things a bit deeper, they catch him in a lie. Police track his license plate and spot him on camera going in the opposite direction of where he said he was going that morning. But he denies the facts and asks the officer questions to buy him some time to maybe think about what to say. And during this conversation with the officer, he gives a lot of irrelevant information, like, for instance, he's not a morning person, taking the attention off of him being involved with Madeline's disappearance. Now, detectives, they make the determination that Madeline was, in fact, in his car. However, it was believed that she was already dead while she was inside his car on the morning of February 26th. There was video surveillance footage of Madeline, who appeared slumped over in the passenger seat. It was a shocking revelation that changed the course of the investigation. The case was quickly reclassified as a homicide, and Madeline was still missing. Being that Stephan was the last known person to see Madeline, they do a search on this guy, and they find some disturbing truths surrounding him and Madeline.
Okay, so what was this guy hiding?
So, the night before this incident, February 25th, 2024, was the day of her 13th birthday party. She celebrated, had cake, and opened up some gifts. Her mother had to work that night, so she wasn't able to celebrate with her at the party, and around 11 p.m., after the party was said and done, Jenn, her mom, who was now home, sent Stephan, her boyfriend, and her 13-year-old daughter, Madeline, to bed alone.
Alone?
Yeah. Jennifer's explanation was she was exhausted and she went to bed herself in her own bed to get a good rest. Madeline Soto explained this, quote, "There was no moment in that evening from when she got home from the party that she had her phone or had the laptop. She went straight to getting ready and went to bed. So I know she didn't have any conversations with anyone. She didn't make plans with anyone. I didn't see any of that," unquote.
Honestly, what 13-year-old doesn't have their cell phone with them, though? Like, that seems a little strange.
Yeah, it does. And it's weird that she noted that, like, so confidently. She describes their sleeping situation as they typically all sleep in the same bed. Madeline apparently didn't sleep alone in her own bed, although she had her own bedroom, which was located in the living room, and there was a bed in there was a TV and all her stuff that was divided by a wall. But the apartment actually contained about 3 to 4 different bedrooms. 2 bedrooms were upstairs that weren't used at all, but they had beds, and it was one of those bedrooms that she had Madeline go to sleep with Stephan.
Okay, so Madeline had her own room, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like she didn't have a room.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand that the mom was like, I have a new job or whatever it was. I need to get a good night's rest. Sleep in your own room. Why did she assign rooms? Go sleep with Stephan.
Her boyfriend. A grown man in his almost 40s, you know?
Exactly. It just seems really, really strange.
Yeah. And the rest of the timeline goes like this. So according to Jenn and Stephan, the next day, February 26th, 7:15 a.m., Stephan and Madeline officially wake up and she gets ready for school. During this time, Jenn, she continues to sleep. And sometime between 7:30, 7:35, they leave the house. However, at that time, Stephan was spotted on camera at the apartment trash compactor throwing away a white bag. Madeline, she's in the front seat with her head slightly tilted. Luckily, the trash wasn't picked up that day because detectives found that white bag in the compactor, and inside that white bag was her book bag and her laptop.
Which are things she needed to go to school that day.
Yeah. And at 7:50 a.m., Stephan is seen driving away, and Madeline is now fully slumped over inside the car. This was all caught on surveillance footage. Now, according to Jenn, around 8:15, Stephan came into the room to get the dog on the leash to let him outside. She heard some people in the kitchen but didn't know who they were, just assumed that she heard Madeline getting ready for school. At 9 a.m., this is when Jenn claims that she got out of bed to get ready for her doctor's appointment. It was believed that Stephan took Madeline to school, being that they weren't home by the time she got out of bed. However, at 9:40 a.m., Stephan is spotted going into a parking garage and transferring a body from the passenger's front seat to his trunk.
Wow.
However, according to Jenn, Stephan dropped Madeline off at a halfway point located around a church, and she walked the rest of the way to school. The security footage, which was not publicly released, but according to the description that investigators provided, the image of what they believe to be Stephan's car is grainy and distorted, and for the person who was in the passenger seat, closely resembles Madeline. She was wearing the same colors that Jenn described Madeline was last known to be wearing. Jenn was shown this picture, and she agreed that the clothes that this person is wearing would be something that Madeline would wear, but she just couldn't really tell if this was Stephan's car.
So, do we know where that surveillance footage was from? Like, does that align with the halfway point, or is this like some footage that was at the school?
So, there was the trash compactor surveillance footage.
Mm-hmm.
There was security footage along
the route. Okay.
But there is no security footage in the parking lot. This was just along the route.
Okay. So, we don't really know if that aligns with the halfway point or not.
No.
Okay.
Now, at this point, it's strongly believed that Madeline was dead, and they interviewed people inside the apartment, which included 2 other roommates, and just to add, one of the roommates had a son who stayed part of each week. They also questioned the nearby neighbors and other people in the building, but no one heard or seen anything out of the ordinary.
This part kind of blows my mind because we lived in a few different apartment complexes, and those places are often swarming with people. There's always someone outside. There's always someone to see something. And the fact that just no one saw anything is kind of strange.
Yeah, because at some point, he had to have moved her body from the apartment to the car, and no one saw anything. Right.
And it's a 13-year-old. So it's like you would have to have them like up over your shoulder, most likely struggling a bit to get them to the car. I don't know. It's going to look a little different than someone who's just sleeping.
Yeah, and it's such a shame that there weren't any cameras in the parking lot. And to note, this building, it wasn't just like an apartment complex. It was actually a business building that had businesses below. And then on top of that, there were little apartments above.
Oh, okay. But still.
Yeah. Yeah, no one saw her leave the apartment. Now, Jenn said that she left to go to her doctor's appointment that morning. And when she came home, Stephan was home, and she told the investigator that he was inside their master bedroom, and he was sitting at the computer desk playing on his phone. Things were casual. Nothing was out of the ordinary.
Quick, I'm pretty sure I woke up around 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I left at 9:30. I had an appointment. I had a doctor's appointment at like 10:15, but they took a while. And then by the time they did my blood work and whatever, I think I got home somewhere between 11 and 11:15.
Okay. When you got back, was Stephan here?
I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
What was he doing?
Just sitting in my room. At my computer desk on his phone.
Okay. What did you guys do?
We chatted for a little bit. I asked him what had happened because he had called me earlier at 10. Let me see. pretty sure he called me around 10:18.
What did he call you for?
To let me know, that they didn't go to McDonald's as planned. He had asked her multiple times if she wanted to stop at McDonald's, because that was the plan the night before. That they were going to wake up early. He was going to take her to McDonald's, do like a special McDonald's breakfast, and then drop her off at school early because she wanted to get there a little early. But on his way to school, she was very sleepy and wanted to sleep in the car. And she said she did not want to do McDonald's. She just wanted to be dropped off.
Okay.
Also to let me know that he left his phone at home, because I had called him multiple times and he hadn't picked up. He had left his phone at home by accident. He had went to the vape shop, but they didn't open on time, so he had waited for quite a while in front of the vape shop. They didn't open, so he left and came back, and we hung out a little bit, and then I think he left again to the vape shop to go buy what he needed.
Okay.
Do you want the name of the vape shop?
Yes. If you have it on the top of your mind, I'm sure we're going to talk again soon, and we'll have more.
No, I'm just saying because that might be helpful if you want to see, like, surveillance or anything.
Now, this part of Jenn explaining the timeline is a bit shaky, as you can hear. She's making sure that she gets her story straight. She's even sometimes sifting through papers, making sure she doesn't make a mistake of where Stephan was and what time. Then here's another part of that same interview. You can hear that she's more confident in her story. She's talking a bit faster, and she explains that she called one of Madeline's friends to see if she had seen Madeline.
At some point, I understand he gets like a flat tire, and he's not able to go with you to pick school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you get to the school, how do you realize that she wasn't there?
So I usually leave around 2:30 to pick her up. She gets out of school at 4. So I wait it takes me about 25 minutes to get to the school, and then I wait about an hour for her to get out. I waited the whole time. And then when the bell rang and then it was time for her to come out, she wasn't one of the first kids like she normally is. And I realized I was holding up the line because everyone behind me had children and they needed to get out because I was the first in line. So after about, I'm going to say, I think it was like 4:10, she didn't come out and I was holding up the line, so I drove away. I said, maybe I forgot to tell her that I was picking her up that day, because I don't know if she knew that I wasn't working that day.
Yeah, you can definitely tell she's more confident in this version. Yeah. It's almost like in the first part, she was afraid to say something wrong. Like you said, she was like shuffling through papers, trying to get the timeline right. It's almost like she's trying to protect Stephan.
Yeah, it does kind of seem that way. Now, the person interviewing Jenn asks where Madeline's phone was around this time, and Jenn explains that it was with Jenn. She brought it with her to give to her after she got out of school because she had forgot it, and she thought she might want to play on it. And in this same interview, Jenn discusses that there were 3 bedrooms upstairs, and her and Stephan were sent to bedroom number 4. Regardless of not really knowing the specifics, investigators put the pieces together with what was given, which gave them the idea that she was murdered inside their home and Stephan carried her to the car at some point because the car didn't show any signs of a struggle. There wasn't any blood or anything.
So, to break this down a bit, it's all speculation at this point, but they haven't found her body yet. They see footage of her in the passenger seat kind of slumped over, but there's no footage of them at the actual apartment. But then they see in the parking garage, Stephan basically moves a body who they confirmed was Madeline just based on her clothes from the passenger seat now into the trunk. So everyone pretty much knows, like, that's weird. Like,
yeah, like it's pretty telling.
Yeah. Like she she's dead. There's a body somewhere.
Yeah, and first of all, there would be no reason, to be dumping her computer and her book bag.
The things that she needs to go to school.
Yeah, unless she was already dead. Like, clearly she was on her way to school, so why would you dump those things?
Right.
Now, as we mentioned, the mother, Jenn Soto, supposedly she slept till 9 and she didn't hear or see anything. Her own daughter was sent to bed with her boyfriend, and she told investigators the last time she saw her before she went missing was when she was sleeping in her bed. Allegedly, she gets out of bed to kiss her goodnight while Madeline is already asleep. It left the investigators a bit suspicious that she went to kiss her goodnight while she was already asleep. This was an indication that she was probably already dead, and maybe she was kissing her goodbye.
Wow.
Regardless of whether she knew exactly what happened, she's still a mom who was supposed to protect her daughter.
Something definitely seems strange here, and I'm not sure if she knew what happened or that at all, but I don't know. Something tells me she did, and she's just trying to cover it up.
Yeah, like when she went to go kiss her, was this like a time where she was, Stephan's like, oh my gosh, she died. Like, were they trying to figure out
like what to do
with her body, or what should they do?
And then not to mention, this is her 13th birthday.
Yeah.
This is a day to celebrate. It's a weird day.
Yeah. Now, what puts the icing on the cake is what they found during the search warrant. The day that Madeline went missing, he told Jenn that he accidentally did a factory reset on his phone. But that didn't stop the investigators from uncovering the dark secrets on his phone that Madeline was being sexually abused and that this had gone on for years. And actually, records show that it happened as early as when she was 7 or 8 years old. This was a huge red flag once this was discovered. Basically, Stephan Sterns was an on and off boyfriend who had a history of abusing Madeline. And it's not really known for sure if Jenn knew that this was going on for years, but there have been some statements recently that make it feel like maybe she knew something was going on, specifically stating that the sex stuff was not evil.
What does she mean by the sex stuff wasn't evil? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me because, okay, Madeline is dead, her daughter, right? Now she finds out not only that, but there was sexual abuse happening. And she still has this sense of like honor or protection for Stephan.
It's almost like either she's trying to protect Stephan or maybe she's in denial, like
right.
Kind of blocking it, like that can't be happening, It's kind of hard to say.
I don't know. She has a sense of like she won't step away from Stephan, right? She's protecting him. And as soon as you find out that your daughter is in danger, and then you find out this added detail that there was sexual stuff going on, sexual abuse for years, you would think all of that honor or whatever you want to call it would just go out the window. Like, screw this guy. My daughter.
Yeah. And she continues to stick to her story, confidently claiming that Stephan was the one who took her to school that morning. And she sticks to all the alleged facts, regardless of her not even being there. Like, he dropped her off about the halfway point to school because she wanted to walk the rest of the way. And he dropped her off around 8:45, which was a lot earlier than he usually drops her off. Like we said, Jenn was getting ready for a doctor's appointment, so she didn't go. And during that time, she called Stephan multiple times, but soon realized that he had forgotten to take his cell phone with him that morning because he finally called her back once he was home and called to tell her that he asked if Madeline wanted McDonald's and she didn't, and that he was sorry that he didn't have his phone with him, and told her that he went to the vape shop that morning, but no one was there, and so he went home.
It's almost like she believes every word that he says. So maybe it is something like denial because she's like, well, no, that didn't happen because he called and he talked about her wanting McDonald's, and then he also said that she wanted to be dropped off at the halfway point.
Yeah.
So maybe it is denial. Like, she's stuck on every word, but he said this. It couldn't have happened because...
It would be hard to take in. Like, this is someone you've been with for a couple years and someone you trust.
Yeah, she doesn't want to turn her back on him.
Yeah. It's like, this can't be happening. Like, this isn't real. This isn't, my daughter's going to come home. Like, it's just, it would be a weird, like, shocking thing.
I can see it either way now. Being something of denial or being something of I knew
like,
something was going on.
I'm not trying to support her because we don't know, but it's also like...
Yeah.
It'd be hard to take in.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little strange because, like, in the interview, she's sifting through papers, making sure she gets the time right. 8:45, he dropped off Madeline. It just seems like she is kind of protecting him.
Yeah, she doesn't want to incriminate him or get the timeline wrong.
Yeah, and there's, like, times where she's like, wait, let me check, and finds the time or the location where Stephan was. Or
the fact that even in that first interview, she's stumbling over her words. Like you said, she's looking for these milestones or whatever, trying to get the timeline right. But then afterwards, it's like she was very confident. It's like, was she coached or did she just think about what she was going to say? Because that second interview, she's like rambling off. Like, it seems much more natural, much more confident.
Yeah. And the thing is she was not physically there. So how do you know for sure that he actually dropped her off at that location?
Yeah, you don't. You just take his word for it.
The investigators, they look at the security video footage near where he said that he dropped her off. And there was a girl who resembled Madeline walking where it was believed that she was dropped off, which was at a church parking lot around 8:45, 9 o'clock in the morning. And she sat for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then she walks away, and there's no other cameras that capture this individual walking. And this is when Jenn feels like someone could have taken her. She gives investigators the idea that it's not abnormal for her to hang out there. Sometimes Jenn's stepdad picks her up in that parking lot from school. But the investigator questions this, asking if there's any particular reason why she would be just hanging out in the parking lot in the morning if she was on her way to school. Because it's not like she was waiting around for someone to pick her up.
Yeah, like she was just dropped off.
Yeah, exactly. She felt in her heart that someone took her. It was not like her to just run away or to not go to school. Her mom describes what she was last known wearing, which was a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, and a black JanSport backpack with hibiscus flowers on it.
Right, which is exactly what she saw in the footage.
Yeah.
There should be no question that this isn't her daughter.
And she went to go pick her up from school around 4 p.m. that day, but she soon realized that she was never in school. And she told investigators that Stephan didn't go with her to pick her up because he had a flat tire. Now, it was actually true. He did have a flat tire, but the time of when he actually had a flat tire isn't confirmed. It's a little gray. It was later found that he had changed it in the St. Cloud, Florida area. And now that we know that all of this sexual abuse has been happening, it makes you look at the recorded interviews and the footage a little differently. They were always suspicious of Stephan because he was the last one to be with Madeline, but his behavior becomes even more apparent after everything that they learned, like how Stephan didn't seem as concerned when Jenn was talking to the police. Madeline's mom and her boyfriend individually spoke on camera and gave a plea to the public for help to bring Madeline home. This would have been broadcasted to local news stations. Stephan portrayed himself as a sad, desperate father figure who desperately wanted Madeline to come home, shedding tears, hoping Madeline was safe. This is the same girl who he's abused for years, who looks quite similar to the individual in the passenger seat who was slumped over, and the same guy who threw her school stuff in the trash. And well, he looks like the one who killed her.
It's disgusting. So where did the police meet them when they made the call?
So if you look at the police body cam footage, it seemed more like a waiting room, and it looked as if there was some kind of insurance business behind them. It was located inside the bottom portion of the apartment building, and the apartments were above this, as we mentioned, and that's where they lived. But there were people sitting around the waiting room. I'm assuming that this was family and friends who were there to support the mother who was waiting for help from the police. And like we said, they waited around for like 3 or so hours. Now, you may be wondering exactly what they found during the search warrant, and it makes Madeline's death so much more disturbing and upsetting. I actually debated on adding this to the story, but I wanted to add some of it just so you can understand that this guy is a complete monster. He is not innocent. The tears that he shed during his plea for help to find Madeline, they're completely fake. This guy is a real monster. So the search warrant included the search on the parents' cell phones. And what they found on Stephan's phone was over 1,700 files in his Google Drive of a young girl identified as Madeline in different sexual positions, both by herself and with Stephan. And these photographs were all identified in the same location, the apartment where they were living. And once these were found, the detective wrote up an arrest warrant charging Stephan with sexual battery and possession of child pornography. After finding this horrible discovery about Madeline, the detectives spoke with Jenn, the mother, and she said that sometimes when Madeline needed a good night's sleep due to her anxiety, she would ask to sleep in a different bedroom.
A different bedroom as in with Stephan or like alone?
It's hard to say, but Jenn described that they normally all slept in the same master bedroom, but when she needed a good night's sleep, she would send Madeline off to another bedroom along with Stephan for whatever reason.
Right. And obviously he had a lot of alone time with her, having that many files in the Google Drive. Like,
yeah.
They had a lot of alone time.
Yeah, and what 13-year-old girl sleeps with a grown man in the same bed? And what mother allows it? How aren't you suspicious? And she said sometimes she sleeps with both of them in the same bed. I mean, even though she was 12 for most of this, 12, 13, it's just strange.
Honestly, I would think at that age, most girls would want privacy, alone time.
Yeah.
Their own place to sleep.
When a detective brought up the findings on Stephan's phone, Jenn was shown a picture that was printed out, and it was of Madeline along with Stephan's penis. And it was detailed in the report that Jenn gave an almost in denial response. She said she doesn't recognize anything in this picture, but was most definitely visibly upset. So again, it's hard to tell if she really knew about all the sexual abuse that was going on. I mean, 1,700 photos. How do you get away with that? That's a lot of pictures. And she mentioned that she sometimes had anxiety, so she would have her sleep in a separate room. What was she having anxiety about? This guy? You know? Records show that she has been living with this abuse since she was 8 years old. Some records say that she was 7 years old. Regardless, her mother was meant to protect her. Her childhood was destroyed. Now, once Madeline was reported missing and an investigation was continuing, finding Madeline was a top priority throughout Kissimmee and Orlando, Florida. And then 4 days later, Madeline Soto's body was found on March 1st, 2024, in a wooded area off nearby Hickory Tree Road in St. Cloud, Florida, 20 miles from her home. And if you remember, Stephan, he changed his tire in this same area, in the same town. And I guess where he changed his tire was located on Old Hickory Road, not Hickory Road, but same name. And it's roughly about 11 to 15 minute distance between each other. And he did this on the day that Madeline was missing. However, he never mentioned to the police that he was in St. Cloud. The medical examiner on the scene stated that her socks were clean, which indicated she never walked on her own. and it appeared that she was wearing the same clothes that she was wearing as she was spotted in surveillance footage in Stephan's car, and also what Jenn described that she was wearing. The medical examiner on the scene stated that her socks were clean, which indicated she never walked on her own. And it had appeared that she was wearing the same clothes that she was wearing when she was spotted in surveillance footage and what Jenn described her to be wearing. With everything adding up, the body did appear to be that of Madeline. She was located on property that consisted of farm, which was locked up, and it didn't appear to be tampered with. So it's believed that Stephan would have had to drop Madeline's body over a barbed wire fence or over the gate, and then her body was moved to the location where she was eventually found, which was in tall grass, and her body was covered in dried out grass. Stephan Sterns was then charged with the murder of Madeline Soto. Documents state that during the autopsy, the medical examiner expressed concern over Madeline's hyoid bone in her neck, and she died by strangulation. But the question still lingers about whether Jenn Soto should be charged for anything. Her behavior in all of the police video footage does seem off to investigators. Like, if she wasn't directly involved, maybe she knew something. Then on top of that, one of Madeline's friends from school spoke to an investigator and stated that Madeline said that her mom was going to kick her out of the house and disown her when she turned 18 or 19. Which makes you think, did she even care about what happened to Madeline during the times that she was being sexually abused by her boyfriend?
It's a good question.
So at this time, Jenn Soto hasn't been charged with anything, but I'm sure that they're still looking into her. And if they find something, I'm sure that would change. But they definitely have their suspicions on high alert. And like we mentioned, Jenn referred to the sex stuff as not evil, but she said the murder of Madeline was evil. So it's hard to tell at this point.
It's such a weird thing to say. It almost makes you question if Jenn was also a victim.
Yeah.
It's just so out there. Saying the sex stuff, that wasn't evil, but the murder, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with a predator, you know?
Right, it's all terrible.
And he's obviously a manipulative person who controls the situation. Like, who knows how he portrayed himself to her?
Right.
He could have just been like the best guy in the world, you know, the best dad figure.
Mm-hmm.
And
this stuff had all been happening for years. I mean, it started when she was 8. Some people say even when she was 7. Like, it's crazy.
It's all kind of hard to tell if Jenn knew what was going on, or if she's a victim, or if she was involved. But in the long run, if we find out that Jenn is innocent, I honestly would feel so bad, because she really didn't even have time to grieve, you know? She was just kind of targeted as like this possible suspect. And it's like she lost a daughter and all this crap was happening behind the scenes. And I mean, you don't really know, because we're dealing with a manipulator. We're dealing with a child predator who has been under the radar for years. And there's even a past with this guy, like we'll talk about in a little bit. But even old friends of his or acquaintances had come forward and mentioned that there were red flags with his behavior. Like this isn't just like the first time that he's been interested in children. So where Stephan Sterns stands is he is facing the death penalty if convicted. And he's facing the following charges: 8 counts of sexual battery on a child under 12, 5 counts of sexual battery with a child 12 to 18, 7 counts of lewd or lascivious molestation, 40 counts of unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child, 10 or more images. Now, after tracking the movements of Stephan's vehicle, which was a silver Lincoln, on the day that Madeline Soto went missing, the Kissimmee detective found that a white Nissan followed almost the identical route to St. Cloud the next day, according to records.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, so on February 27th at 3:16 a.m., the Nissan was recorded on video leaving the apartment complex and heading east on US 192. Detectives alleged that the Nissan drove on Old Hickory Tree Road at 3:35 a.m., then again 34 minutes later, before returning to the Kissimmee apartment at 4:30 a.m. And it was soon released by investigators that it was, in fact, Stephan Sterns who was driving the white Nissan, and the vehicle belonged to Jenn Soto. And just to note, this was after the time that Madeline's mother had already met with the police, where Stephan claimed that the last time he saw Madeline was when he dropped her off at a church near her school. It was also interesting to learn that Stephan's father, Chris Sterns, wrote to Stephan while he was in jail. The person who he's talking about in the email is obviously Jenn. However, her name was redacted in that email. It states, "We all know she was heavily involved in this. I am disgusted she is free and you are not, when this is not all your fault. You need to think about yourself more and her less. The whole family is willing to stay quiet and let you take the fall for everything." Meanwhile, police have not named anyone else as a person of interest in this case, just Stephan Sterns. His father later made this statement stating, quote, "Something's going on. He's spent a lifetime lying to us, and it's just never gotten better." Chris Sterns is a former deputy. So maybe he was coming to his senses. Maybe, he was kind of realizing maybe his son is capable of all of this, because he, who is a former deputy, stated before he left the house the other night, he turned to his wife and said, "Do we really know Stephan? Can we honestly say we really know him?" Because apparently this isn't the first incident that Stephan was involved with a minor. Allegedly, people in Stephan's past came forward, like prior roommates or previous friends, who shared that the mom paid one of his roommates at the time to keep quiet about Stephan because he was dating a 14-year-old girl. There was also mentions of how Stephan used multiple concerning sites. He had child porn on his computer, and this roommate found a folder on his computer. And this was all to be hushed because once he confronted Stephan and once he confronted his mom, the mom paid him. And well, at the time, he was in need of money and he got an apartment to stay at with the money. So there were red flags that this guy was a known predator, just no one reported him or came forward. So a little about the Sterns family that I found. They raised Stephan in a middle to upper class home. Stephan's mom raised show dogs, and they had multiple properties. So they were living comfortably, and it seemed that they always spoiled Stephan. He would live on their properties, he would use their cars, and they always seemed to protect them.
So one thing that I keep thinking about is that he had been involved with Madeline since she was like 7, 8, something like that. So why kill her now, though?
Yeah, what's the motive behind all of this? Was this just like a freak accident, or did something happen? Now, there's theories circulating that she appears to be pregnant in one of the pictures that was posted on the night of her 13th birthday party. Like, she's wearing looser fit clothing and she has bags under her eyes. So, I mean, that's just a theory. But
right. I guess that would give him a motive, though, if that were true. I mean, we don't know if it's true, but that could make sense.
Yeah, like his secret would be revealed. Now, I'm going to let you take a guess on where Stephan Sterns worked, and I'll give you a hint. He lived near Kissimmee, Orlando, Florida.
Disney World.
Yes. So on his Facebook, Stephan Sterns boasted about being a cast member at Walt Disney World. He posted a picture of his badge and a photo of him there, and showing Facebook that he received a 1-year pin. He started in 2022, so during this time, he was sexually assaulting Madeline. But in a twist, Disney swiftly denied that he doesn't work there. And when they were asked whether Sterns had ever worked there, Disney didn't make a comment.
Of course not.
But Stephan Sterns is clearly in pictures that are circling around the internet of him working at the Journey into Imagination with Figment attraction at the resort. So it's hard to realize that these pedophiles are all around us. Now, although Disney is denying that he worked there, I feel like there would be no way that he actually would have continued working at Disney if they were made aware of the child porn that he had, or that he was a predator that had happened years ago.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Disney, they're so careful. Like, they distance themselves from any type of PR nightmare.
Oh, yeah. It's really interesting. I feel like that could be like a whole podcast.
It really is.
It probably is.
It's coming up so much more now, too. You're always hearing, like, about deaths that happen at Disney that didn't actually happen at Disney. It's always like it happened outside of Disney or this or that. It's strange. Or we even covered the case about the Disney cruise, and that was also weird.
Like the mysterious video footage that was deleted.
Exactly.
But if, during the time when his mom even was made aware of the child porn that was on his computer from the roommate, this could have all played out differently. Like, he could have been on a registered sex offender list.
Yeah. Woulda, coulda.
Now, his time in prison, basically, Stephan has been acting almost like a spoiled brat that his parents created. He's refusing food, but he asks for food at certain times, like he's at some kind of resort, and he's giving the prison guards attitude. But, I mean, come on now. You murdered a 13-year-old girl, and you sexually assaulted her for years. And that's all we have for this case so far. This was a story of a young girl whose life was stolen from her, a life gone too soon. And we hope that Madeline Soto gets justice.
And also, we want to hear from you. Do you think Jenn Soto was guilty of anything? Did she know this was happening? Was she a victim herself? Let us know.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more things come to the surface and follow this case more, because I definitely want to do like a little updated episode.
Yeah, for sure. Side salad.
Yeah. We also want to give a shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you all so much for supporting our show. Sorry about the large amount of ads in this episode. We greatly appreciate your patience.
It's fourth quarter. I mean, we had a lot of episodes where we didn't have any ads or one ad. So I get it. I mean, they're hard to listen to, but I mean, try to understand.
But I mean, like, honestly, the ads that we have, I feel like IQ bar, like, I honestly love IQ bar.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I eat IQ bars every single day.
Well, you completely switched to their coffee too.
Yeah.
The mushroom coffee.
But this is not an ad. We're just stating the facts.
Right.
But thank you all so much for supporting our show. Thank you to our patrons, and just thank you so much for your awesome support. It just keeps us going, and we'll be back next week.
Also, if you hate ads, patrons, they don't get ads. So for as little as just $1, you can be ad free. You can get access to behind the scenes stuff.
But I also know if you hate ads and you don't want to pay for a patron, you can skip. There's like a little skip button.
There is.
Click.
Pro tip.
Yeah. All right. See you next time.